It was a recipe for the perfect storm for disaster, and the season's down the pan. To put it politely, I would be surprised if he played Sunday. To be honest, if you can be in this position come March, you get top four.
Good morning, noon, and night, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. This one, of course, is a preview for Forest v Southampton this weekend. I'm joined by Martin Sanders, or Football Martin. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thank you for inviting me on your show. Very, very kind of you. It's great to be here. Great to talk to you about all things Southampton. But congratulations on the season that you're having. I think you've been a breath of fresh air in the Premier League. It's been nice to see somebody outside the top six break it. I'm not surprised because a lot of fans said, "Oh, we're surprised at Forest." But like, I was at St Mary's when you turned up back in August. It's quite a while ago, wasn't it? And I was actually pleasantly surprised with Forest. One of the most organised teams I've seen in the division. Morgan Gibbs-White was probably the best number 10 I've seen live in the flesh this season, and I was massively impressed with Forest when I watched them at St Mary's. And no surprise where you are. I think you've got a great manager, but a great set of players.
Before I get properly into the questions, just like to call out all of you there. Please do make sure to like and subscribe so I can fix this awful statistic. Thank you very much. First question, probably not going to be the best one to answer considering how things are going. What have you made of Saints season so far?
It was a recipe for the perfect storm for disaster. I did a podcast on my channel a couple of weeks ago with a fan that I know well, a writer that writes blogs around Southampton, a guy called Glenda Decor. Go check him out if you haven't done. He's a big Southampton fan, and we spoke about the recipe for what's gone wrong this season, and I'll break it down into I won't talk about it for hours, but I'll give you a short thoughts on how it's all gone wrong for us, really. Russell Martin did brilliant last season. Right man at the right place. Wrong man for the Premier League. His style of football. So that was a bit of a recipe for trouble. The Sport Republic, who own our football club, and transfer windows don't go together. A young squad of players that needed some good purchases, needed some leaders in the dressing room they didn't get, and you bring those three things together, it was always going to be a really tough season. I don't think for 1 minute any of us anticipated it to be as tough as it has been. When we played Nottingham Forest in August, we had played the week before. It was our first home game of the season. Actually, we played Newcastle away in the opening day. We looked quite good up there, dominated the game. They had a man sent off. We were really good up there, played some great football, and I was quite encouraged. I thought, we might be all right this season. But going into it, I thought Russell Martin in this style of football was always going to be problematic. We played Forest at home. We didn't have a shot on target, I don't think, and you totally pressed us and didn't let us play any football at all. And I thought, do you know what? It was a worrying sign that what I saw that day. And as the weeks have gone by, we played Brentford the week after that. We went there and got quite heavily beaten. Really, 3-1 we lost, weren't good enough, and it continued. We went down to. After Forest, we had I think it was Ipswich at home. We were winning. We didn't look like scoring goals, but we were leaky at the back. We let in a late goal against them. Sam Morsley scored. We had an away game at Bournemouth. We got battered, played off the park. We come home. We played Leicester City. We were 2-0 up. Ended up losing the game, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And since then, we've had 3 5-0 defeats. We've finally changed our manager, have a new man in charge in Ivan Jurek. It's too late, unfortunately. They made the change too late, and the season's down the pan. To put it politely, we're relegated, and we were relegated actually before an advent calendar had been opened in December. It had been that bad this season, but the club, the owners have to take a lot of responsibility. Russell Martin, as the manager at the start of the season, he needs to take a massive responsibility as well. And we're staring down the barrel of the Championship once again. And we've got to play out between now and in May, knowing that we're going to get relegated. It's been nothing short of an absolute disaster.
I mean, I don't want to talk in a disrespectful way, but it doesn't look like a fun time to be a Southampton fan at the minute.
No, it's been awful.
Well, I mean, let me sort of say it as it is. Well, Russell Martin, as you said, was given a bit too long. Ivan Juric coming in. How different is he? What's improved or changed or just been different under him?
I was impressed with last night's performance. At the time we're recording Friday evening, you're probably putting this out tomorrow. But last night I talk about the Man United game. So the game against United, I was impressed with what he did in a short period of time to get them a bit more organised. They're a team that we're used to having the ball a lot. We've not had as much of the ball under Ivan. He wants to play heavy metal football. He was described as he was a man that likes to press hard. He likes his players fit. He wants to be defensively organised. Look, he didn't really have the Fulham game. He had the West Ham game at home. We were good. We looked all right. We played Palace away. We got beaten. We weren't very good there. Quick turnaround of games over Christmas. We were crap there. We come home and we played Brentford, and I was alarmed at what I saw. But a lot of that's mentality. It's a lot up here. Players dropping heads, not being good enough, when conceding early goals. But last night we went to Old Trafford. He's had a week with the players since the FA Cup game. And look, they were decent last night. For 75, 80 minutes, Saints played really, really well. Very different to what we saw under Russell Martin. He's getting the best out of players that Russell Martin didn't get the best out of. Then there's players that were doing well under Martin or had done well for Martin, not involved. So it's every manager has favourites. Every manager has a different style, and it is very much a different style of football. But it's what they needed. But they needed to have done this a long time ago. That's the biggest problem. It was a change that probably needed to happen October time to give Ivan a real chance to turn it round. But it's an uphill battle for him.
I've heard a lot of stuff about Tyler Dibbling. Just how good is he?
He's brilliant. I've been watching his development now for 3-4 years. Coming through the academy, he was spoken about a lot. Certainly in the early years, he's been there since a young age, and he's done very well at every age group. And you hear names. If you're supporting a club and there's someone good in your academy, you'll hear about him. He was a name with another lad called Sam Amiyeo, and they were both spoken about a lot. He was on the fringes of the first team last year, but prior to that, he went off to Chelsea, actually. Probably he was about 16, 17. He went to Chelsea, got a move to Chelsea, and he was only there for about 6 months. He didn't like it. He wasn't happy. Some people will say he was homesick, but I don't think he was getting the opportunities he wanted. And Southampton arranged a deal to bring him back 2.5 years ago. He come back. And he worked through to the under-21s and was scoring goals regularly. Knocked on the door for Russell Martin last season, who didn't really trust him. Played him in the FA Cup, but looked good. And I watched him in pre-season. I watched all our pre-season games, and he was like, he's got stronger. He's been in the gym a lot. He's quick. He's skillful. He's got great feet. Technically, really, really good. And Russell Martin give him an opportunity this season, and he grabbed it. And it's unbelievable. He's probably been one of our, if not our best player. He's 18 years old, and he's a magnificent young talent. And we'll get relegated, and there's no doubt we'll lose him.
He did look like he came off with a knock, though, on Thursday. This one's more for me than a particular big preview thing, because I'm sure that there'll be plenty of Forest fans who didn't notice that. Have we had any further news on that? Do we reckon that he'll still be playing on Sunday?
I would be surprised if he played Sunday, to be honest. I think he took off 63rd, 64th minute. It was an ankle injury. Didn't look comfortable at all. Ivan Juric didn't give loads away afterwards. They said they'd take a look at it today. Saints have stayed in the Midlands, actually. So instead of coming back to the South Coast, they've stayed and they trained Friday at St George's Park. So they've stayed up there to save on the travelling, which makes good sense. They're in a hotel in the Midlands. So hopefully they'll probably assess him again tomorrow. They've got all their medical team with them. So hopefully he's okay. He's an important player.
You can hear a lot of commentators say it, Forest, blink and they will punish you. I feel like that must be an unfortunate thing to hear coming from Southampton ranks, considering the amount of blinks that you've had this season.
I think us and Wolves have conceded the most goals in the league. We've scored the least amount, or we had done. But we're breaking all the wrong records, and I think that's probably the concern, isn't it? And I was looking this morning at other teams and what they picked up over a Premier League season. Derby, that 11 points that they picked up, you just don't want to beat that record. Sunderland got 15, Sheffield United got 16, Huddersfield, Sunderland, and Portsmouth all got 19. I don't reckon we'll get anywhere near 19 points. I really don't, and that's the biggest concern. You don't want to go down breaking records, and you have to start putting some pride in results, and hopefully we can pick a few wins up. We're going to get relegated, but you just don't want to go down in a way that's humiliating for the fans and humiliating for the club.
Yeah, I can assure you that all of Nottingham is very much rooting for you to beat that 11 points record.
Yeah.
We would much prefer it stay in the hands of Derby. I mean, we if anything, we'd prefer if you didn't go down, to leave space for Everton, Wolves, and Leicester. Really.
Yeah. I think Leicester will go down. I think Leicester will
go down as well.
Yeah.
Well, we said a little bit about Dibbling potentially not playing. What do you reckon will be your starting 11 for the game?
I think it'd be very similar to what you saw against United. The goalkeeper speaks for itself. Ramsdale goal. The back three the other night was Howard Bellis, Bednarek, and Bree. I would imagine that Nathan Wood may come in and play right side at centre back. James Bree's been playing there. He's a bit of a weak link, to be quite honest. Midfield would be Leslie Ugochukwu, who's good. He's on loan from Chelsea. He's a really good player. I've got to say, Leslie Ugochukwu, I like him. He'll play central midfield alongside Joe Aribo. Mateus Fernandez will play sort of as a false 9, could potentially play in the 8. Hopefully, Dibbling's fit. If Dibbling's not fit, I think Mateus Fernandez will drop in. Cameron Archer will play sort of as that false 9 through the middle. And then Sinamana will definitely play sort of. He played off the left-hand side last night with Kyle Walker-Peters sort of overlapping as the wing-back. And I think that's probably how we're set up in this one. I don't see a huge amount of changes. Manager's trying to kind of find his style and what works for him. I think that's probably what we're seeing this one.
To move a little bit away from Southampton for the minute, or sort of moving past the Southampton questions that I've got, what has it felt like watching us, or rather starting to gradually hear about us from the media and stuff like that as the season's gone on? What's been your sort of view from the outside?
I watch a lot of football. I watch a lot of Premier League, and obviously, I think when you're in it as a team, you watch it even more, and you watch your up and coming opposition. Like I said, I watched Forest down at St Mary's and was massively impressed with them. Chris Wood was linked with a move to us actually, and we're crying out for Chris Wood in our team. Yeah. Our fans turned their nose up at him, so they kind of laughed it off when he was linked. But he's a great player. We needed Chris Wood, but no, I've watched them. I watched the game against Newcastle a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was brilliant. Should have won that. I've watched a lot of Forest, and when I do, I think it can be defensively really sound, but so brutal on the counter attack with Hudson-Odoi and Elanga. And you got Wood as a target, and he's got a good touch. He can hold the ball. There's so much more about his game than lumping it long to him. He's got a good touch, and he's a real fox in the box, isn't he? In that 6-yard box, he's a real danger man. I've enjoyed watching Murillo, the centre back. I've been impressed with him. I've said that on a couple of shows I've been on the last couple of days. Elliot Anderson in midfield looks like he's really kicked on as a player this year. I obviously showed a bit of an interest because James Ward-Prowse made the move there. He was an ex-Saint. He was our captain. He's at Forest, so I was obviously keeping an eye on whether he's getting any game time. I don't think he suits your manager and the way he wants to play football. Ward-Prowse isn't a Nuno player, by any stretch of the imagination, but obviously kept a good eye on him. I've enjoyed watching him. And I hope you finish in the top 4. I've got a funny feeling you will. I think you'll come really close. I'd be surprised if you didn't at this moment in time. I think momentum in football is a massive thing. I think confidence is huge. You've got all of that in abundance. You just got if you can be in this position come March, you'll get top 4. And what an achievement that would be for Forest. It would be, and it's great for everyone else. It gives people like Bournemouth, Southampton, Brighton, it gives us all that chance to dream of getting in the top 4, doesn't it? That it can be done when it's done right, and you get a manager that's going to play to the strengths of the players, and that's what he's done. He's played to the strengths of of his players, and you look at the manager, he had a tough time at Spurs. He would have been burnt by that spell, but he was brilliant at Wolves. You've just seen the Nuno that we all saw at Wolves. Yeah, he went off, he got out of the UK for a bit, and rightly so. Just it can get a bit toxic sometimes, but he's come back, he's reinvented himself again, and I don't think he's just a decent football manager. I think from what I see on TV, I think he's a good man manager. I think he's a good person. You can see it. Like I follow quite a few Forest fans across social media, but I think it looks like he's involved in the community. He's bought into the club. The club means a lot to him. And for you guys, just enjoy it. Enjoy it, because football goes in circles, doesn't it? You've had your tough times. You've been relegated, Championship, League One, everything else. You're there like we've done. And when the times are good, you've got to enjoy it. You've just got to enjoy it, and hopefully it takes you to somewhere very, very special.
Well, you're coming up. So what are your sort of predictions, not just for the score, but just for how the game will go?
Forest to win comfortably. It's by how many. Is if you get the early goal, you could absolutely kill us. There's no doubt about that. If Forest get the early goal, they could probably really open us up and put. We got a mentality issue. You think of the confidence in our camp at this moment in time, it will be pretty shot. You would expect. Hopefully we can keep it tight. I don't think we will. I think depends how naive we are, and we are a naive side at times. If we start pressing Forest high up the field, leaving gaps in behind, I think Alanga, Hudson-Odoi would have caused us too many problems. You're good from set play. Defensively, we've been shocking from set play. We've got better under Jurek. No more zonal marking, but I think it comfortably be at least 3-0. At least I would think.
Is there anything that you would do as if you were manager to get a tune out of this game and to try and get a result?
It's finding like how do you hurt you, Forest? What weapons have we got at our disposal? And probably Silimana's the key man. Silimana and Dibbling. Dibbling could be injured, but you're going to need those two at it. I still think I'd like to see Cameron Archer come in to stretch the game a bit more. If you can catch Forest, you're gonna have to just catch them somewhere. I just don't see how we really, really hurt you, and that's probably the biggest concern, really. But I defensively look to get them sound. I wouldn't have James Bree in my starting 11. I'd probably bring in another centre back, maybe a bit stronger. I think Chris Wood, we have to be really careful of him. Look to be really wary that the two wing backs don't go flying too high up the field and leave too much in behind, because, like I said, the Hudson-Odoi and Alanga will cause any team big problems. So yeah, defensively we're going to need to be right at the races.
If you've watched this far, then you may as well subscribe. Just
absolutely, you must subscribe.
Subscribe
to the young man. He's doing a great job. So congratulations on your channel and your work.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. I'm looking at the wrong corner of my phone because it needs to be at that one. Thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you all in the vlog, in the next one, and all that sort of thing. Remember to ingest cheese. Good night.